Well, joining me now, tale as old as time, song as old as rhyme. It's Tim Blair and Daisy Cousens. How are you both? Australia's Word of the Year has been announced, Tim, by the Australian National Dictionary Centre. I didn't know we have one, but we do. And wow, guess what it is? Yes, teal. Teal is the new Aussie Word of the Year. Tim, I'm glad you are dressed appropriately. That is almost a teal checked shirt you got on there. So what do you make of the Word of the Year?
It was a bit predictable, I guess, when you review it. But is there anything we can't sort of unlink from this whole teal phenomenon? I mean, now we've got in Sydney, we're reporting this in the Daily Telegraph at the moment, that there's a teal office that's just opened in Bradfield where the teal candidate actually lost, and she's now describing herself as the shadow representative for Bradfield. A shadow representative. She's sort of a faded teal who presumably just felt awfully left out by all the teal glomming the headlines everywhere, and she's like, the hell with it, I'll call myself a representative anyway. So you still have people coming in there saying, can you help, whatever, and she'll be like, no.
Excellent. Daisy, what do you reckon? Used in a sentence, you might say, oh, you believe wholeheartedly in stopping climate change, but you just bought a mansion by the rising seas and drive a gas-guzzling luxury SUV. How very teal of you, you might say.
Oh, it's terribly teal and it's terribly embarrassing. I mean, in a year where so much has happened, like in global politics, in domestic politics, in Australia, we've had a change of government in Australia that's definitely not teal. Last I checked, they were red in more ways than one. Why be so sort of woke and annoying and niche that you'd pick the word teal as the word of the year? I mean, for God's sake, you take one, why does everything have to be political? Why does everything have to be political in even the word of the year? Why on earth would you do that? And two, who cares, aside from anything else? So I would just think in an interesting year, there's been a lot going on. We're nearly at the end of it. Why pick the word teal? Pick something cheerful or fascinating or interesting historically, but please, anything but that particular four-letter word.
Well, perhaps Captain Cook could have been the word or the two words or the title of the year. Captain Cook would be a lot more interesting. Parents, Tim, at a Sydney school are furious after finding out that their children were involved in a play which claimed to depict the horrors of colonisation, but was devoid of historical accuracy. Oh, there's a surprise. The play claims to be set in 1788, but opens with Captain Cook landing in Australia, despite him being long dead by then. He was speared on an island far away. And no involvement of Captain Arthur Phillip's settlement. Don't you think if you're going to attack our colonial history, you could at least get it right, Tim?
Yes, well, I think the most appalling thing about Cook's arrival in 1788, aside from him being dead, was his awful treatment of the convicts. He was a cruel city master, and but I suppose he redeemed himself slightly with that brilliant design for the Sydney rail system. That kind of recovered his reputation just a little bit. So I hope that was in the play.
That's right. Daisy, you're a film buff. Film director legend Quentin Tarantino has spoken out on the dire standard of modern movies. He's saying that he prefers the great movies of the past. Who doesn't? And to him, recent movies don't even exist. He said the Marvel movie franchise would be the only set of films people would remember from this age. He reckons that's all rubbish. Do you agree?
Yeah, I agree, and this is one of the reasons I love Quentin Tarantino. Aside from his incredible auteur films, it's the way he tells it like he is, and I think he's just spot on with this. I mean, it is such an astute observation to think that the Marvel franchise will be the only films remembered from this era, because off the top of my head, when you think of Hollywood, that's sort of all I can think of, and it wasn't like that in previous decades. So it's a wonderfully astute observation, and part of it, I think, and he mentions this as well in his interview, that directors now in Hollywood, they just do not have any guts. They don't have guts to make sort of controversial or politically incorrect films, because they might get yelled at on Twitter and they might have a few nasty think pieces written about their films, which is partly a sort of artistic ego, lack of guts, but also, and this is fair enough, they're worried about losing their associations and their connections if they somehow make a film that doesn't sort of tick the right diversity boxes and condemn all the right things. So this is really the sorry state of Hollywood at the moment, and I'm really pleased that conservative outlets like the Daily Wire have actually started producing films that are actually really good.
Exactly.
So
well, we'll get on to that, but the thing, of course,
up.
Tim, I'm just running out of time. The thing, of course, is it's the stars that made the film of the past. Now, I've been with you often enough when you get mistaken for George Clooney. It happens all the time. It's really depressing for me. I'm standing there, they're rushing up to you, getting autographs and all that. George. But do you agree that the films don't have quite the panache today?
Absolutely. If you've seen one Marvel hero movie, you've seen them all. I'd also say that Quentin Tarantino's directed the best recent superhero movie. I won't give away the title, but spoil it for people. But go through some of Tarantino's more recent work. You'll find a movie in which hippies are set fire to with a blowtorch. Superhero stuff.
Fantastic. Great. Well, I loved Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. I thought that was absolutely brilliant.
Likewise.
Yeah, superb stuff.